Hello and welcome back to our show. For our first guest today we have Sondre Callec, who's a women's sales success coach, and she's here today to talk to us about how you can live a lifestyle you love. We get many people about asking about this, actually, Sondre.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah. And I think too, like what determines a lifestyle that we love, and for me, I think it's all about how we balance what it is that we want and need and how it is that we achieve those wants and needs, and how we do that without burning ourselves out in the process. There's no point in, flogging yourself every day to achieve something that won't actually make you happy at the end of the day. So a balance is about what comes as your internal drivers. How you choose to make your money in the world, in my opinion, and this is my humble opinion, is that it should be aligned with your values. Otherwise we become a lot like other people in the world, really, don't we? Who are perhaps just making money for money's sake. And I find that a lot of women particularly want to create a business, or they want to help other people, or they have, genuine and creative ideas that they want to be able to share with the rest of the world. And how you do that so that it supports the lifestyle that you want is the fun part, because otherwise it's just all or nothing. Balance in how we do that and keep our health and keep our well-being, both, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. All of those things need to really be part of this conversation that says, how do we live a life that we love? Part of having a lifestyle that we love, obviously, is being able to create the means by which to have a lifestyle that we love. And I remember as a younger woman being a single mum, working 3 jobs, and really all I saw in front of me was more hard work, a lot of long hours and a lot of sleepless nights. And this constant stress and struggle about how I was going to provide was, the biggest part of my lifestyle at that point in time. And I was fortunate enough to get into a sales role, which enabled me to make more money than I had previously. But what that opened up for me was not just money for money's sake. And I think, for me, it enabled me to provide really well for my little family of 2. And it also opened up other career opportunities that I may not necessarily have got without having that foundational skill of being able to present a really good idea, be open in a communication, and being able to listen as to how that opportunity could work for other people. And so, in terms of economic empowerment, particularly for females, we tend to be more entrepreneurial by nature, and being able to sell without being salesy is a real skill. It's in fact quite an art, but one that I think that every woman is already naturally doing. But when we're in a situation when we're talking about our own products or our own services, then we kind of lose that art for some reason. I don't know, it gets a little odd for a lot of women. But economic empowerment is, in your business, is your sales. It is the very lifeblood of your business. And the lifestyle that you want to have is driven by how much money that you can create in there. It's not everything in a lifestyle, but it's certainly a very key component.
So for the women, for our audience out there, our viewers, what would be another little tip about the first thing they could start, for instance, to find that?
In terms of like feminine empowerment, the first thing I would say, ladies, is find yourself a genuine women's circle. There are a lot of them that are available, in the community, and go along, try them out, introduce yourselves, and look at a way where you create community around you that supports you, not necessarily just a networking situation. We as women have so many layers to us, and they all need to be served.
Thank you, Sondre. And for more information on Sondre and economic empowerment, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au, and we'll be back next with Tracey on more about raw food. Welcome back, and we welcome back once again Tracey Jardim. Welcome, Tracey.
Thanks, Linda.
And Tracey's here today to talk to us more about raw food, and this time it's to do with healthy digestion. So Tracey, can you tell us more about how raw food helps your digestion?
Yeah, did you know that our guts have billions and billions of bacteria? And in fact, most people have over 1,000 different types of bacteria in their stomach.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's a lot, isn't it? And it's quite often that until something goes wrong, we don't know that there is something wrong. So the reason why we advocate that people should eat more raw foods is because raw food contains lots and lots of fibre, which is really good for us, reduces inflammation in the digestive system, so less bloating and as well as gas. That's why we say raw food is healthy and better for our digestive system.
Oh, well, that's great. It's great to know. So with more about, what would you say that you could tell our viewers about how to improve their gut health? Is it just generally eating raw food, or is there specific ways of doing that?
I would say that definitely adding more raw food into your diet, ensuring that you're getting lots of fibre and nutrients and lots of good enzymes that come from raw foods. For example, nuts and seeds, good oils like olive oil, also things like lots of leafy greens and fruits and vegetables.
Okay. And I know there's talk out there about, the balls, the bliss balls and things like that. So what sort of things go into making bliss balls?
Well, all raw ingredients can go into, if you're making them yourself at home, you can put things like dates and nuts and seeds, some chia seeds or sesame seeds, even flax seeds, really good, especially for women's health. You could also put things like some cacao powder and any sort of dried fruits, things like that, and push it all together, put it in your food processor and then roll them.
Oh, well, that's wonderful information. Thank you. So do you have a favourite one?
Oh, absolutely.
Favourite flavour?
A favourite flavour is chopped peanut.
Great. Well, once again, thank you, Tracey. You've got full of chock block full of information for us. And for more information on your gut health, then please go to our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. We'll go to break now, and after the break we'll be back with George Gintilas, here to talk to us about how we heal. Welcome back, and now we have George Gintilas, who's a somatic psychotherapist, and he's here today to talk to us about how we heal. Well, George, how do we heal?
Well, how do we heal? That's a great question. It's an exciting question because what we've discovered over the last 20, 30 years, especially in the time that I've been practicing, is just phenomenal with the neuroscience that's come out and all the major developments in mindfulness and attachment theory. It's just phenomenal with what we can see within the body now that tells us what actually causes disease and problems and habits that we can't break and where we feel blocked and where performances drop and when you get anxiety and depression and trauma and the effect of car accidents and operations, all sorts of things that affect us. We now know a lot more than we ever did on how to actually go about getting inside, getting in there, working through the issues, healing them. Yeah, so without having to take a pill for everything and for any disease or any problem that you find within your own body or habitual issues that you might have. It could be relationship issues, it could be developmental issues from childhood, it could be habits, all sorts of things, that anxieties, depressions, times when you're down, insomnia, when you can't sleep, all sorts of fears and phobias. A lot of those now can actually be healed very quickly, and you can do it yourself. You can basically do it yourself just by going in within your own body, contacting the cells of your body, staying with them, and then your body will start to heal them. And what we know is that the makeup of the body is basically in your brain. You've got 3 brains. We've been brought up in school to work with the intellect, that top brain, and that's great. It has its value, but it's also limited because there's a lot more to our body and our nervous system where our anxieties are stored, which is what we call the subconscious, the part of you you're not even aware of, and we need to be able to access that. And we've got great ways now to access it, and which is why I love mindfulness. That's taken off now the last 10, 20 years, and a lot of the MRI scans and all the great scans that are coming out now to actually prove that when you're in that mindful state, close your eyes, go within, you can actually heal a lot of things. And even as we're talking now, and even as you're looking at me now, your brain's actually rewiring itself. We now know that. It's just phenomenal. We used to think, oh, maybe it only happens when you're in sleep or occasionally, and maybe it gets less and less and it gets fixed as you get older. Not the case at all. Not the case at all. Your brain is totally plastic, and you can change anything at any age, at any time. So age is, we're redefining age. There's nothing that says you have to actually age as you get older. You only age is because of diseases and things you haven't dealt with, issues you haven't dealt with in yourself, you've just buried, and we bury a lot of things within our own body, and even when you think you've resolved them, you've actually buried them. You think you've resolved them, and you've resolved them at the top brain, the intellect level, and then you get on with your life, and then you wonder why you start feeling heavier, and then you start reacting to things, and then diseases pop up. Then you need a pill, and then you need all sorts of things, and sick leave, and you lose friends, and issues start to happen. Why? And relationships break up. That happens a lot. Why does that happen? Because there's issues in your body, within the cells of your body, within those 2 lower brains, I'll talk about in a minute, that actually stop you from fully healing. So the intellect level's great, where you can change your thinking, and reading books, talking to people, listening to this program. We're using our intellect right now. But if you learn to mindfully process yourself at a body mindfulness state, where actually you close your eyes, go in a little bit deeper than just the thinking, then you start to access that deeper part of you. And then there's the feeling brain, which then starts to be accessed, which is your emotional state. We know a lot of our emotions are centered around there, and they flow through your whole nervous system in your body. You can't ignore your emotions. A lot of people can. If people think, oh, yeah, I'll just block them off and get on with my life. Oh, I'm fine now. But really you're not. You've actually denied them and you've blocked them off, and then you feel it in your body. It becomes pressure. And then over the years, that pressure builds and builds and builds, and it stacks up on itself. All those cells in your body will pack in. And then if they don't get oxygen, they don't get blood flow, they don't get even life energy from yourself, that's when it gets diseased. That's when it starts reacting, because it becomes literally a mind of its own. This part in your body and in your brain, related to your body, you pack it in, you think you're fine, but then one day something goes wrong. And really what you want to do is prevent that. Take time each day, go within yourself, find where you feel those compressed parts, the parts that you think you've resolved, they're actually there in your body, which is why I highly recommend mindfulness-based meditation, where you go into your body, stay with it, take time out to learn how to stop, close your eyes, do that each day, and then you'll start to realise what's actually going on. You start to realise the landscape of your body and how it's linked to the issues in your brain and the 2 lower brains that are stopping you from being more of who you can be, being fully realised, fully authentic, fully happy, joyous, peace of mind, all that, and even feeling love for yourself and the world. You've got that within you. But because of things that happen in our lives, that starts to get blocked off. We push it down, thinking, well, we'll get around to that, or I'll take a pill for that and suppress it. And it doesn't go. And that builds. So we really want to be able to take time out, feel yourself,
So
go
George,
within yourself.
Just for our viewers, would you have an example in a case study or someone this has worked well for?
Yeah, even personally, I know of one person who couldn't get on a plane, for years, and his wife would love to have gone on holidays with him, and just for whatever reason, I mean, there was a deep trauma there. I'd imagine, as we did find out eventually, there's always some trauma there underneath. Imagine if you can't get on a plane for decades and you can't move out of your home, and all of a sudden, if you started to do the mindfulness meditation, went into their body, and all the stuff that was there suppressed started to come out gently and release a little bit at a time. Emotions, old tensions, and even that lower brain of the sensory motor brain, or the physical release of the body, that fight-flight response. And no problem now at all. Get on planes, not an issue, and I can't even believe that they're able to do that, because it's just, they're finding it hard to believe that they can actually go and do something they could never do for decades. So,
Well, maybe, George, could you come back and talk to us more about healing those traumas next time?
yeah, I'd love to.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
We'll go to break now, and after the break we'll be back with Leah Estate, who'll be talking with us about being creative. Welcome back, and next we have Leah Estate, who's an artist and energy healer, and she's here today to talk to us about creativity. So what is it about creativity that's brought you here today to share, Leah?
Thank you, Linda. I'd love to talk about that. Well, I've encountered in my life and surroundings people who seem to be a little bit lost. They seem to be in a state of desperation at times, sometimes happy, but since we're human, it's not always possible to stay in a positive state. So I've been thinking a lot about that recently, and as much as we have mindful meditation, which is clearing the mind, there are other forms of not obvious meditative states that can assist us to be in the present moment. And so that might be things like singing, drawing, doodling, walking in the park, perhaps gardening for some. But more importantly, it also gives people a state of mind, instead of thinking of past occurrences, that might keep them in the past, might keep them sad, might keep them in a place that's not conducive to the present moment. It takes them out of that place. And also, if we argue, well, we start worrying about the future, which everyone does, I do. But then I pick myself up and say, stop that. And thinking about the future is counterproductive because we can't do anything about it.
No, it makes us more anxious,
Makes us
doesn't
more
it?
anxious.
Yes.
So what's the point? So I think it's important for people to know to do mindful pursuits, to keep themselves present, because in the present is the only time we have. It's the only thing we seemingly can control. It's the only time that we can be spontaneously happy. And so things like that might be, you pick up a book, or a sketchbook rather, or even some people use written books, and when they're done with them, instead of throwing them out, they might doodle in them.
It's a great way to be environmentally friendly, isn't it?
It is. You're recycling. Or you buy just a cheap sketch pad from anywhere and you start doodling. Or you might ask someone to make a scribble. And so with that scribble, you might indulge in, what will I do with it? Will I colour it in? Will I finish it? Will I add extra lines? And another thing you can do with regards to allowing the brain to switch and have peace is you might use the hand you don't normally use to start drawing. It's very difficult. You might think, oh no, how can I do that? But it's actually easy once you try it. The point is this: whatever you do, and I'll go into more in a moment, never ever do it in a state of ego. Never do it in a state of, my goodness, that's terrible. Don't show anybody. If anyone's ever read The Artist's Way, that book talks about doing creative pursuits, but then not having an opinion. Don't show anyone, Don't even look at it yourself. So put it away and leave it. Because as soon as your ego gets involved, as soon as your ego says, oh, that's terrible, that's horrible, what did I do? It just kills the entire process. The process is the process. There's no ego, there's no judgment involved at all. So,
Well, that's just all very amazing. There's so much information you
it
have
is,
to
and
share.
we're just skimming the surface here. So it's quite exciting, quite exciting.
Thank you very much for joining us
That's
today
okay.
and sharing all that wonderful information.
Thank you.
And for more information about Leah and creativity, then please go to our website, Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. And for now, we'll say bye-bye and we'll see you next week.